My name is Wade Stevenson. I had stage 2 colon cancer. I was in denial with it once I found out. Basically, I hadn't had a colonoscopy in a long time. And then once I decided to do it, that's when I found out.
After many months of begging him to get a colonoscopy, we did see Dr. Bedford. He gave us some recommendations that he wanted to follow and then circled back to us, letting us know which doctors we would see, and that would be Dr. Tracey Childs, to kind of further go over what his diagnosis was, where we learned that he did have colon cancer. Wade, at that point, did not want to hear the word cancer or anything that had to do with it. So for us, it was just kind of letting him hear everything that Dr. Childs had to say, what her recommendations would be, surgeries, treatments. And that took, a few weeks for him to kind of deal with that, because he was very adamant that he was not going to have any types of treatment. He was going to only let it do it, run its course. And we let him do that for, a few weeks. And then we reminded him that he made a promise to me on our wedding day that it would be until death do us part.
Well, when they told me, I just was like, really? I looked at Dr. Childs and said, really? I'm not doing chemo. I'm not doing radiation. You're not going to cut on me. You're not doing none of that. And she said, you must be a Christian, huh? I said, yeah. I said, whatever I'm going to go through, God's going to be there to take me through it, So I've always had faith. They're based off of science. The doctors. Dr. Child just struck me as a faith-going person. And she was a big impact on my life, how she came in and she talked to me and she let me know you have 2 options. We can cut half of it off, and it's a chance you won't be able to control your bowel movements. I got to really thinking about that part. Once I thought about it, it was like probably a month after. Because me and my wife never talked about my situation. We never really just sat down and talked. And whatever she was feeling, she kept it within her. And whatever I was feeling, I kept it within inside me.
I had to let it be his decision.
Yeah.
I couldn't force my thoughts or my position on him. I needed him to come to terms with his diagnosis and for him to come to terms with the treatments that he was going to do. But he made all of the decisions himself, with the gentle reminder that until death do us part, understanding that for me, we still have life that we need to live and share and walk through. So I need you here.
And so Dr. Childs, she had to go somewhere because she do a lot of charity work. So I work right down the streets at Santa Monica Ford. And I'm finna go down here and see Dr. Childs, because I called her. She didn't answer her phone, so I figured she was busy. So I'm finna walk down here. And as I was walking, I get inside the building. She was coming off the elevator. I said, Dr. Childs, I'm coming to see you. We got to make an appointment before I can have my surgery, So she said, well, when I come back, she talked to me, gave me a big hug, and told me, you're going to be okay. She assured me that I was going to be okay. And one of the issues that pushed me to do the surgery is my wife, my aunt, my uncle, they all came. And I think it was, she asked them to come because they was trying to push me into having the surgery, because my mind, I'm still not doing the surgery. So they came and we was all in there, and Dr. Child came in and she spoke, talked to everybody.
On February 26th is the day that we had surgery, just before the start of official pandemic, where all of the family was able to come into the hospital and be there as he was going through surgery, and also be there as he came out. One of the things that we remember and we laugh about now is that he's such a strong person, but the anesthesia for him just took him out. They couldn't wake him up after the surgery. For a big guy, they realize now that they can't give him a large dose of the anesthesia. I never left his side, and Wade was a real trooper.
They removed the whole colon. I have a colonoscopy bag. It took me a minute to get used to that. Not as long as I thought it would take. But sometimes I get kind of frustrated with it, but I'm learning how to deal with that better every day.
Because of course he couldn't take care of himself, so I'm, cleaning it and changing out the bag and stuff. And we did this for probably a good 6 or 8 weeks, and then it was like the day that he decided I can do this for myself, and then it became very private. I'm like, I've seen it all, I've done it all, and now it's like, you want to push me aside.
No, it's just different because, it's like, it's not embarrassing, it's just different for me when I look at my body. Not that I was trying to push her away, just, I just need more privacy. I need more privacy now than I did before. A week after I had my surgery, I actually got a blood clot in my leg. I had on some shorts and I looked, I'm like, dang, my leg looked like it's plastic or something because they had swelled up. And I kept telling my wife, I said, this is a blood clot. She said, how you know? No, it's not. So I come back to St. John's, I go to the emergency. I think I was in the emergency for probably like 10, 15 minutes, and they took me right in. And I told the doctor, I said, I think that's a blood clot. He said, and you're right, it is. So he done the ultrasound, and he said, your body really good, huh? I said, yeah. So
understanding that he had just been left the hospital, had surgery for cancer, understanding what he was going through there, and then even just making sure that they ran the necessary tests, called Dr. Childs to make sure that what they were doing for him was exactly what she would do for him. And she's in the background saying, no, don't do that. No, we're going to do this. And going home from the emergency room, Dr. Childs called every couple of hours just to make sure that he was okay. Just amazing. And our story is, we know people that have gone through cancer and they've gone through it at other hospitals, and we're like, no, you need to switch your insurance because Providence is going to do this for you. They help you through it. The doctors, they're personable. They care about your situation. And it's, I just can't say enough about the care team that Wade had, even not just for him, but making sure that I understood it, making sure that I was okay with it.
So after the surgery, probably about a month?
Yes.
About a month, they put a port in me. And the next day, that next Wednesday, I started chemo. So something in my mind kept telling me that.
How long did you go through the chemo?
The chemo, I was 4 hours.
For 6 weeks?
For 8 weeks.
The radiation was?
Radiation was,
chemo
no, all of them was,
okay.
They was the same.
Okay.
The radiation was 8 weeks, every Wednesday.
And you came home with the?
And I came home with the fanny pack. So you wear that for a day and a half. Then you come back and they take that off, and then they give you a grace period, like 5 days? 10 days without the fanny pack. But it was very interesting because I met a lot of people there while I was doing my chemo. I was the only one who can eat. And they look at me like, how are you able to eat? I said, suck on some lemons, drink some pickle juice, eat pickles. I started eating mustard and everything, and it took away that lead taste. And my wife gave me, they had some nauseous pills.
But they told me to give it
and she giving them to me too much, so I got really constipated. So if you don't need that.
I gave it just how they charted it.
And then I done the pills, the chemo pills. There was 5 pills I had to do. So I had to take them every morning. And I go do my radiation every day for 8 weeks, which the doctors was very amazed because everything they said would happen to me, it didn't happen. I never got fatigue or exhausted. I never experienced none of that. The only thing I experienced is the numbness in my fingers and in my feet. They said I would get rash, what a radiation was. I never got that. They thought when I was taking the pills that it would just come out me and go in the ostomy bag, but it didn't because I made sure I ate. Not only that, I could drink Ensure and still eat. I never stopped eating. That's because I was eating 2 big jars of pickles every day.
There was a path for me from the family room to the kitchen because he was always hungry. I don't think I've ever cooked as much as I did during that period. I wasn't expecting that, but it was a good thing for sure.
The care team here was phenomenal. Dr. Childs, she just embraced me. She loved people. She's a people person. She felt my pain when I didn't even feel it, and that blew me away right there. Dr. Fischer, he was phenomenal. He made sure I had, a good team, putting my port in and making sure I was okay. Just showed me that unconditional love. And Dr. Wollman, he always had a joke to say with me, but he was really phenomenal as well. He always asked me, how was I feeling? Do I have any rashes or anything? He always greeted me and shook my hand. And just like Dr. Chow, he always gave me a hug, He always embraced me really tight. The whole staff was just amazing with me, and from time to time I'll go down there and I see them, they say, oh, hi, Wade. So it was very experience for me, and we as people, we take our health for granted until it's our health. And we have to be more conscious about our health in this day and time.
I do want to just add that the care team, and that includes the back office staff, the nurses that touched him, the administrative staff that touched him, calling to check in, following up on appointments, making sure that the authorizations were where they needed to be. That was from Dr. Child's office, from Dr. Fischer's office, as well as Dr. Wollman's office. I mean, amazing. And they see Wade, at his lowest point, or what they consider to be his lowest point. But Wade was always smiling, even through all of this. So they're just they were excited to see him every time he came into the office, because it's you make us smile. But it was the care that he was receiving from the staff that made a big difference in the treatment and making him, glad that he chose the path that he went down, and that was to actually have the surgery, to have the chemotherapy that he said he wouldn't have, to have the radiation and surgery that he said he wouldn't have. So now that Wade is on the side and cancer-free and, walking through this with Dr. Childs and her explaining everything that we would go through and living it with us, she has since reached out to Wade to kind of tell his story to some of her other patients.
She put me in contact with another young man that has the same type of cancer I had. He was very furious of it, but I talked to him about it. I let him know, from my perspective, you have a great deal of doctors, especially if you're at St. John's and you have Dr. Chow, Dr. Fischer, Dr. Wollman. They're a good team, the best on this earth. I walked him through it. I told him what I experienced, and I told him, make sure you keep faith. And when you pray about it, just pray about it and let God do the rest. And it's a good feeling because I think I told what I was going through, but I also listened and made me think about what I went through. And it made me feel good to be able to walk him through it. His surgery was successful. His chemo was successful. His radiation was successful. So he's doing really good now. And he was really amazed. And he Wade, everything you told me was true. I said, I told you. I said, you couldn't ask for a better hospital to be at, And me and him communicate a lot still. We still talk.
Do you think he was better prepared for?
He wasn't prepared for it until after he talked to me, because I told him what to expect.
I would say take the time that you need, to process it, reevaluate what the doctors have said, ask questions.
If you hear at St. John's, they're going to give you the right opinion. They're going to give you the right opinion. St. John's is an awesome, great hospital. I had nothing but good experience here. I had another young man that he had surgery, but he didn't let them do the ostomy bag. He was afraid of that because he felt like he wouldn't be able to play tennis or jog or any of that. I said, yeah, you still can function. He was kind of embarrassed because he had to wear a diaper. And I told him, don't be ashamed of it. You're human. You went through something. So he was thinking about talking to Dr. Child, and him and Dr. Child had a conversation where they was going to turn around and he was going to get an ostomy bag as well. But at the end of the day, you're still here. There's a lot of different things you can buy. You can buy a stealth belt to put, your ostomy bag in it, and you still can function. You can get in the pool with it because it's waterproof.
Wade walked through this not just for himself, but to also be able to help other people. And he's good at that. He's really, he takes everything that he's gone through and he pours it into other people. Now I'm here for you. We're part of a team.
But at the same time, a person that goes through it, you can't be afraid to talk about it. You can't put it in a jar and put the cap on it. You can't hold it in, because the more you hold it in, the better it's going to get for you, because your mind is focused on one thing. You still have to be able to ride a bike, jog, exercise your mind where you can still be mobile and look at life for what it is. It's a good thing because I'm still happy, and I didn't let Satan get in my way.
In November of 2021, Wade had his final radiation treatment and he was able to ring the bell.
And actually, I broke the bell when I rung it.
Yes, you did, with that strength of his. In March of 2022, in one of his post visits with Dr. Sean Fischer, he received the news that
I was cancer-free. Not only was I happy, Dr. Fischer, the staff, the nurses, the staff that works in the back that does the chemo, they all came and congratulated me, and it was a blast. It was a blast.